The day started at around 11 o'clock. When I woke up, I grabbed 3 donuts, as well as pouring a cup of coffee. I went to the TV in the den and I turned it on, went on YouTube, and tried to find something interesting to watch. What I found was a video from the real life fake wizard about his review of the movie Hoppers. To make a long story short, he essentially felt the movie was indoctrination and a way where he believed it was teaching kids not to take death seriously and to also um, make what you advocate for your entire personality instead of simply having a fully developed personality. So, yeah, he didn't like it. Personally, I thought it was fairly enjoyable, all things considered. Um, do I think it's something that's harmful to show kids? I mean, maybe the ending. I gotta be honest. If I saw that ending when I was a kid, I'd probably be traumatized. Not gonna lie. But honestly, I feel like that's really no different than like the beginning of Finding Nemo. If anyone remembers, like the mom gosh dang dies at the beginning of Finding Nemo, and this ignites Marlin's will to take care of his only child, Nemo, because all of his other children, as well as his wife, were eaten. So that's the emotional core of the movie that makes it resonate with audiences of all ages, and it also the scared me to death when I was a kid because that's an intense scene. A monstrous looking creature that like eats the dad's wife and kids. That's some messed up stuff right there to show a kid. But the film ended up being great anyways, and I think the same thing is going to happen with Hopper. I mean, sure, could the environmental stuff seem kind of heavy-handed? Could it be seen as something that's trying to indoctrinate kids into um, believing certain things? Maybe, I suppose, but I don't know. Most of it's just characters on a like fantastical adventure with some interesting world building, and overall, personally, I thought the film was decent enough. I feel like the only way a kid would really watch it and take all that stuff to heart is if, like, I don't know, maybe they're in the similar situation to the main character, Mabel, or maybe they just take their entertainment a little too seriously. But overall, I feel like most kids would probably not be too affected hardcore by the film unless like they're maybe a little younger and they see the ending, which I gotta be honest, the ending is pretty spooky, not gonna lie. But anywho, I have my shoe on because there's a there's a bug flying, and if it goes near me, I'm gonna crush it. Yeah, it's a what do you call those things? The long-nosed mosquito, and Lord knows I don't want a mosquito poking its nose inside of me because I don't know where that nose has been, and it might give me some kind of disease or something. But anyways, so I'm just going to keep this with me in case it gets near me. All right, moving forward. Then I watched a guy on YouTube, I'm forgetting his name, talking about his problems with millennial writing and how he finds millennial writing extremely obnoxious and annoying. Basically, I could boil down the video to him essentially being angry that, or not angry, but peeved, or not peeved, but annoyed that a lot of modern writing seems to think that the character's identity of simply just like liking a certain gender or having a certain interest is the only thing that really they need to be defined as a character, even though most characters that are actually interesting and stand the test of time are multi-layered and that's why people remember multi-layered characters. They don't just get defined by one thing, and a lot of the times it's actually pretty aggressive that like the one thing is used to define a character, because that's like feels more as like a defense rather than like an attribute for the writers. Like, oh, you don't like the character? Do you know that there are real people that exist that are like that character? You jerk. Instead of, yeah, that character was kind of poorly written. I better make the character more interesting, you know? So I just think, yeah, he definitely had a lot of really good points, and I did agree with a lot of what he said. I wish I remembered the name of the creator so I could bring him up so you could look into him. Yeah, I think the name of the video might have been "Why Millennial Writing is Terrible." It's like a guy who looks like he's in his like late 30s, early 40s with like glasses and like, you know, really straight haircut and all that. But anyways, uh, and as I was watching this video, I decided to heat up some chicken tenders in the air fryer and have a Diet Pepsi with some Chick-fil-A sauce with the chicken tenders, and that was very good. And then when I was done watching that, I decided to go to my room and do some breathing exercises, because I realized I hadn't done any breathing exercises in quite a while. And I felt like I needed to really, you know, bring that habit back, because I hear it's a really good way of just simply just like decreasing stress, regulating your emotions, being more calm and collected. And so I tried doing that. I did feel pretty good afterwards. And then finally, after all of that, I decided to do some writing for Brain Jam. I went into the back room and I was sort of talking about ideas about where I could take the story and who the character like should be, and what kind of like how I could demonstrate things in a way that would be emotionally resonative to audiences. Um, and I did come up with some pretty interesting ideas. Oh, I think it got away. Where is it? Yeah, but I feel like I'm not going to share anything right now until I'm fully comfortable with what direction I go. All I'm going to say is that I got a lot of ideas thanks to the help with Claude 4.6 Sonnet, and I definitely have a sense and direction of where I would want to take the story and when I eventually work on it. So yeah, really looking forward to that. That should be exciting. Moving along, I got a call from my family friend telling me that they dropped by, dropped pizza off, and then left. So I decided to go into the kitchen and the fridge. I found the pizza. I had one slice. I thought it was very good, but I decided to save the rest for when I went back home for lunch from work. So when I did that, I decided to then go to my room and work on some Brain Jam. And yeah, I did. I was able to get quite a bit of work done. I was listening to some binaural beats while I was drawing a grocery store hallway in perspective, because there's going to be a grocery store in the scene I'm working on with the characters shopping, trying to get ideas for a dish they're making, and it's all going to be metaphorical for putting ideas and separating them, so that way when eventually they're put together, they'll be put together in a way that makes sense. So that'll be interesting to look into. Eventually, afterwards, I realized I needed to get ready for work, so I got dressed, I combed my hair, and I left. I drove off. Eventually, when I arrived at work, I punched in, I said hello to my coworkers, I looked at the schedule, and I found out that I had sweeps for the whole day, and so the rhythms continue where pretty much all that needs to be said was continued cycling through sweeping produce, sweeping break room, sweeping the store floor, checking restrooms to see if I need to refill any toilet paper um, or napkins, or sorry, paper towels, not napkins, or toilet seat covers, and eventually, yeah, I would punch out and go to lunch. There was really maybe a few interesting things that happened during my first break. Um, I guess one interesting thing was that there was a customer who accidentally dropped some watermelons, so I had to um, bring the watermelons in the back room, throw them away, and then wipe the floor so no one would slip on the watermelon juice. Um, so there was that. That started pretty much early in the day, right when things got started. Um, I greeted a coworker that I hadn't seen in a while, and they actually thought that I had left or was fired. It's been that long since I've seen them. So yeah, that was a nice surprise. And another nice surprise was there was another coworker, one that my family was afraid something might have happened to them, and I saw them at work today, and they seemed to be doing fine. Um, so that was good. I even asked them how they were doing and asked them what was going on. And they told me, and so it was good to get an update. Yeah, I really hope they keep on keeping positive and keep it on. So yeah. Eventually, I punched out for lunch. When I arrived home, I decided to reheat the pizza for lunch. I had some chips, and I we didn't have any Diet Pepsis anymore, but we did have a Monster strawberry beverage. So I decided to get that, and dang, it was the sugar one, and sugar ones have 220 calories. It's crazy how much sugar they have. I kind of felt bad drinking that because I felt like I was like growing with each sip. But I gotta be honest, it was really tasty, even if it was definitely not something I should be drinking on a constant, regular basis. I mean, yeah, but overall, it was a very unhealthy but delicious lunch for sure. Eventually, I drove back home. Oh, and as I was driving to home for lunch and eating lunch and then driving back, I was listening to an Area 52 podcast where the host, Dave Ramsey, was interviewing a prolific UFO researcher from Canada. I gotta be honest, it's kind of hard to pinpoint one of the more interesting or credible things that was said, because the guy that he was interviewing spoke in really rambly, sort of like hard to follow sway. Um, yeah, so I'm not gonna try to narrow down something interesting to say. I have to like listen to it again to really hone in on what could be discussed. Clearly, it wasn't anything that was like super engaging or important. Otherwise, I would have immediately mentioned it right now. So that's kind of a bummer. Um, but yeah. Oh, and I agreed to my mom on my lunch break, and she told me that having my sister not around for a while definitely had a different vibe. She did definitely say that she missed her though. So yeah. Um, eventually, I miss her too. And eventually, I drove back home. Sorry, to work. I drove back to work, and when I arrived, I spent the remaining hours taking out the trash, wiping down check stands 8 and 7, refilling the bags, and doing go backs and bringing in the carts and signs. I got some help from one of my coworkers who helped me wipe down some check stands, and I had a fun interaction with some coworkers as I was returning home to work from home from lunch, which was a lot of fun. They we did a little dance, and that was cool. Um, I decided to have a little fun. I asked my coworker if he'd be interested in like being turned into an alien using AI video generator. They said no, and then I said I could turn myself into one, show you, and see if you're interested. Then and they're like, sure. I took a picture of myself. I turned myself into an alien, and I showed him, and he said, "Yeah, that's actually legitimately impressive and interesting, kind of cool and funny." Um, and I said, "Oh, now you're just," he said, but it's cool. It's like, oh, thanks. And yeah, I showed my co-manager. They thought it was interesting, and one of my other coworkers who thought it was funny and impressive. And they actually wanted to know the name of the app that I used, which was Grok um, on my phone. And yeah, eventually I punched out. I said good night to my co-manager, my and my co-cashier and my coworker. I drove off home. Well, I wanted to say goodbye to my coworker, but uh, I didn't see them, and I was off on my way. So I drove off home. When I arrived home, I greeted my mom, who was cleaning up her room. She bunched up one of the carpets, so I tried to straighten it. I accidentally dropped a glass container that held a flower. Somehow the glass container did not break. I was really impressed by that. I thought it would break, but it didn't. I brought it up. She brought flour on in it. I showed her the video of me as an alien. She thought it was funny, and then or silly, and I asked her if she'd be interested in me turning her into an alien using AI. She said sure. So I took a picture. I did it. I showed her. She said that's silly. Then I watched Death of the Game Dune Awakening while eating cereal with almond milk and a little drop of heavy whipping cream mixed in there, which was pretty good, and a cup of low caffeinated coffee because I like having something savory with something sweet. And I even had some chocolate that our family friend brought from their, I don't know where they brought from See's Candy. And then I showed my family friend how to reheat their pizza on the pan because they wanted some too. And after showing them that, I decided to watch a video by the real life fake wizard about his opinions on the Pokemon game Pokemon Poketopia, where he said it was actually a legitimately really good game, but he's still not convinced to get a Switch 2 because he doesn't want to support Nintendo because he believes Nintendo has bad business practices. And then I brushed my teeth. I took my vitamins, then I brushed my teeth, and then I decided to make this update video. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go upload this and go to bed. So thank you for tuning in. I very much appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody, and have a good night. Bye.